They called themselves the Kushites, but history remembers them by another name, the Black Pharaohs. Their kingdom rose from the golden sands of the Nile's southern frontier, where the deserts of Nubia meet the green ribbon of Egypt. For centuries, they were dismissed as Egypt's lesser cousins, mere imitators of its glory. Yet, in one of history's greatest twists, these forgotten kings would one day march north, conquer Egypt itself, and sit upon the throne of the pharaohs. The story of ancient Nubia is not one of imitation. It is one of reclamation, a lost chapter in the saga of African power, ambition, and genius. Long before the pyramids of Giza dazzled the ancient world, the lands of Nubia were alive with trade and culture. The Nubians controlled the flow of gold, ivory, ebony, and exotic animals along the Nile corridor. Their lands were rich, not only in resources, but in spirit. The Egyptians themselves called Nubia Taseti, the land of the bow, for its skilled archers who became both feared enemies and trusted allies. But where exactly did this civilization begin? Around 2500 BCE, while Egypt's old kingdom flourished, a powerful Nubian state was forming further south at Kerma, near the third cataract of the Nile. Kerma was no dusty outpost. It was a city of red brick temples, palaces, and massive burial mounds that rivaled those of Egypt's kings. Archaeologists have uncovered vast tombs filled with human sacrifices, jewelry, and even imported Egyptian artifacts, proof that Nubia was not a mere imitator, but a civilization with its own grandeur. Kerma's kings were bold traders and conquerors. They fought Egypt when they had to and traded luxuries when it suited them. For centuries, the two nations clashed, traded, and intermarried, a love-hate relationship between two powers bound by one river. Then came the fall. Around 1500 BCE, the Egyptian pharaoh Thutmose I led a campaign into Nubia. His armies burned Kerma, toppled its temples, and absorbed Nubia into Egypt's empire. For the next 500 years, Nubia lived under Egyptian rule. Egyptian gods were worshipped, hieroglyphs covered temple walls, and Nubian nobles sent their sons to be educated in Egypt's ways. But beneath the surface, Nubian identity endured. When Egypt itself began to crumble around 1100 BCE, losing its grip on the south, a new power quietly rose from the ashes, the Kingdom of Kush. Centered at Napata, near the sacred mountain of Jebel Barkal, the Kushites reclaimed their independence. They adopted Egypt's religion, writing, and art, but gave it a distinctly African soul. And then came the moment no one expected. In the 8th century BCE, Egypt had splintered into chaos, its once mighty pharaohs reduced to petty rulers and warlords. Into this vacuum rode a Nubian king named Piye, a man of faith, ambition, and destiny. From his capital in Napata, he looked north and saw Egypt divided. To him, restoring Egypt's order was not conquest, it was divine duty. Piye gathered his armies, disciplined soldiers, fearsome archers, and chariots gleaming under the desert sun. His campaign was not only military, it was spiritual. Before battle, he prayed to Amun, the god of both Nubia and Egypt, believing he was chosen to reunite the lands of the Nile. When Piye marched into Egypt around 730 BCE, city after city fell before him. The local rulers surrendered, not merely to a conqueror, but to a man they believed was divinely sanctioned. His inscriptions tell us that he refused to defile temples, demanded offerings to Amun, and treated Egypt's gods with reverence. By the time the dust settled, Egypt was under Nubian control, and for the first time, a line of black African pharaohs ruled both Nubia and Egypt. Piye's successors would continue his vision. Shabaka, his brother, strengthened the empire, blending Egyptian tradition with Nubian vigor. Under Taharqa, the Kushite Empire reached its zenith. Taharqa's reign would later be remembered in the Bible itself. He is mentioned in the Book of Kings as the powerful ruler of Egypt and Kush. Taharqa built temples that rivaled those of the ancient pharaohs. He restored shrines across Egypt, constructed massive buildings in Nubia, and presided over a golden age of art, learning, and architecture. Under his rule, the Nile Valley was once again unified from Khartoum to the Mediterranean, a vision unseen for centuries. But history is rarely kind to greatness. To the east, a new empire was rising, the Assyrians. Ruthless and relentless, they swept through the Near East, crushing kingdoms in their path. The Assyrians saw Egypt as a prize, and Taharqa's Kushite dynasty as an obstacle. When their armies invaded in the 7th century BCE, Egypt's northern cities fell one by one. Taharqa fought bravely, retreating to Nubia, but never surrendering his pride. Eventually, the Kushites lost Egypt, retreating south to their heartland. Yet their spirit did not fade. From Napata and later Meroe, the Kushite kings continued to rule for nearly 1,000 more years. They built their own pyramids, smaller but more numerous than those in Egypt, dotting the Nubian desert with silent stone sentinels. Meroe became a city of iron and innovation, a bustling capital of trade where African, Egyptian, and Greco-Roman cultures intertwined. The Nubians mastered iron smelting long before many of their neighbors, earning Meroe the name the Birmingham of Africa. Their queens, known as Candaces or Candaces, were powerful rulers. Some led armies into battle, others negotiated with Roman emperors. One such queen, Amanirenas, famously defied Rome itself, defeating its legions and forcing a peace on her own terms. Yet, despite this dazzling legacy, the story of Nubia faded from memory. Centuries of colonial narratives painted Africa as a continent without history, its monuments misattributed, its achievements ignored. When early archaeologists uncovered Nubian pyramids, they couldn't believe black Africans had built them. They insisted they must have been Egyptians or outsiders. But the sands of time have a way of revealing truth. Today, the story of Nubia is being rewritten, not as a footnote to Egypt, but as a parallel civilization, one that shaped and preserved the legacy of the Nile. Modern archaeologists, many of them African, are uncovering temples, inscriptions, and tombs that speak of a proud people who saw themselves as heirs to divine kingship. Even in death, the Black Pharaohs defied oblivion. In the tombs of Napata and Meroe, their bodies were laid to rest beneath pyramids facing the rising sun, symbols of eternal rebirth. And though their empire is gone, their legacy endures in the echoes of their names. Piye, Shabaka, Taharqa, Amanirenas, rulers who once bent the course of history toward the south, reminding the world that civilization did not flow one way down the Nile. For centuries, Egypt claimed the light of history's torch, but long before the world knew pyramids, obelisks, or pharaohs, that flame was already burning in the heart of Nubia. A civilization forgotten by time, but not by the river that still remembers its kings. Because the Nile, eternal and indifferent, remembers everything. And if you listen closely to the whisper of its waters as they flow through the sands of Sudan, you might still hear the echo of the Black Pharaohs, who once ruled the world's oldest kingdom not with borrowed glory, but with greatness of their own. History is not written only by those who conquered. It is also whispered by those who endured. The tale of Nubia reminds us that greatness can be buried, but never erased. For every lost empire beneath the sands, there are voices waiting to rise again. If you found this story as captivating as the Nile itself, journey with us through more forgotten chapters of the past. Explore the rise of ancient empires, the mysteries of lost civilizations, and the untold stories that shaped our world. Subscribe, share, and keep the torch of history burning, because every story we uncover brings us closer to remembering who we truly are. The past is never dead. It's only waiting to be rediscovered.